Well, hello, Kelly. Welcome to the Passionista podcast. I am so excited you are here. I love you. We live in the same kind of space down here in the Bible Belt, and I love your bags. So, welcome to the podcast, Kelly Moore Clark.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Okay.
You finally nailed me down. You had to chase me long enough.
We have worked hard. We have worked hard to make this podcast happen. It's so funny because it's like we live in pretty much the same place, yet how is it the hardest thing to make work? So, so for those I want you to share for the listeners that don't know who you are and don't know about your incredible photography and your incredible bags. Tell us, who is Kelly Moore Clark? Tell us a little bit about you, who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, I am a mom. I'm a wife. I run and own a handbag company, Kelly Moore Bag. I also am a photographer. So I do a lot of different things, but they all kind of tie together.
Right. Okay. And so your bags just aren't any bags. I love them. I think I own maybe 4 or 5. I buy them for my Christmas presents. Your bags have something really cool that you designed yourself, and it is the inserts. So can you kind of tell us just really quick about what makes your bags so special?
Well, I was a photographer. I've been a photographer for about 20 years now. And maybe about 10, 12 years ago, I realized there was a bag out there that I wanted that didn't exist, a photography bag. So the choice was either you could buy a normal purse and like wrap your gear in a towel, or you could buy like a black Canon low pro camera bag and it was ugly. Those were the two options. And so in the market, there was nothing else. And so I kind of meshed those two ideas. So I design handbags that protect your stuff and they keep you organized. And so they have, padding and dividers and lots of pockets and all those things to keep your stuff safe.
Yes. And they're so amazing. And I know so many women who aren't even photographers that use your bags for a baby bag or whatever. They just love the design.
Yeah. I mean, it started off, I thought it was going to be a hobby and I thought it was just going to be for photographers. And we figured out really quickly that it kind of applies to everyone. Anyone can use it, whether you're a mom, whether you're a student, or just somebody who likes handbags. And it kind of acts as like a little filing system. A filing system inside your bag. Yeah.
Right. I love it. And, I really feel like your bags were like the OGs of the cute camera bags. I mean, you're like a pioneer, in this area. And I feel like everybody else just started copying Kelly Moore bags. So what I want to do before I want to go back a minute. Okay. Because there's so many people listening that know who you are, maybe some that don't. They're like, oh my gosh, Kelly Moore bags. There's this myth out there, I think, that people have that successful individuals or people that make their ideas, their passion, their dreams a reality. That there's some type of secret special sauce or it just, the clouds have parted and everything has aligned perfectly in order for you to now be living this out and walking, but it wasn't always. Right. So take us back how this all started. So you were, or take us back to how you got here. You were a photographer, bring us back. Tell us your story.
Right. Well, like I said, the business, Kelly Moore Bag, has been around. I never can keep count. We launched our first bag, or we shipped our first bags in January of 2010. So you do the math. That means it's about to be 9 years?
Yeah.
No. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like the idea just popped up a month before I shipped bags. The idea came maybe 2 or 3 years before that. I didn't have kids. And like I said, I was a working photographer, working my butt off, a lot. I was very, very, very driven and very busy in photography.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea, and it was one of those things that it would come up in my mind. I would pursue it. I would dabble a little bit, and then I would kind of forget about it. And it kept coming up. It kept coming up. And I kept talking about it, and it wouldn't go away. And I felt like I was almost annoying people talking about this idea, but not doing anything about it. Right. And so I remember the day to where I said, okay, I'm so sick of talking about this. By this point, I'm trying to think of the timeline. I think I had had Posey, who's my oldest, who she's 11 now.
Mm-hmm.
After she was born, I remember saying, okay, I'm going to go full force towards this idea until it happens or until the doors are absolutely shut in my face. And so I remember, like, I have no design background. I have no construction handbag. Like, I don't know how to sew a bag. People ask me all the time. All right, I'm a photographer.
How long? And at this point, how long have you been a photographer?
I'm so bad with the math.
Like,
I started photography. It's been about 20, 21 years in photography. So I was probably a photographer about 10 years, 7 years, we'll say. Well,
and by the way, because I know you went to school for music. You're a music major.
In music. That's right. That was like my first love. From birth until college, music was everything. I fully intended on being a musician right now. Mm-hmm. Star Search. I was planning on being on Star Search. That was before American Idol.
Yes.
Anyway, but like I was in a band in high school and college. Like we were a pretty serious band. Like we traveled quite a bit. And I realized pretty quickly that was not the lifestyle. Even, I mean, we weren't like famous or anything, but even on that level, I realized that was not the lifestyle I wanted to live. So photography just kind of happened. Anyway, so I had decided I was either going to move forward with this idea of this bag. And at the time, I thought it was going to be a bag. I thought it was going to be a hobby. I had no intentions of this becoming a career.
Right.
So I remember I was calling people, every phone number I could find in the phone book. That's back also when we use phone books. Or like a seamstress or an upholsterer, anyone. I was like, if I gave you a drawing of a bag, could you do it? Everybody's like, no, like, no. And you know how those things happen? They happen and you don't even know how they happen. Mm-hmm. It was a friend of a friend. I was doing photography workshops back then. There was a girl who gave me the number of a guy who was a friend of a friend who thought he might be in the handbag industry. Like he was kind of a middleman.
Right.
And he had connections with handbags. So I cold called this guy and I was like, I have this idea. And of course I could tell in his voice, he was very skeptical. He's like, who's this young punk girl who knows nothing about handbags, doesn't know the industry. She's a photographer.
Yeah.
But I think, you want a bag? Okay. And who are you going to sell them to? Okay. But he's like, I'll take your money. I mean,
if you pay in.
Yeah, that's right.
Do it.
So I kind of sketched some stuff out and we got the first prototype. Looking back on it, it was terrible. Like my first bag I made was terribly ugly, but I was so proud of it. I thought it was the best thing ever. And so I remember when it came down to it, we had been prototyping it for months. It takes to prototype one bag to get it from in your brain to, you have inventory. It takes at least a year every time. I don't know if I've ever gotten one shorter than a year. Wow. Sometimes it takes 2 years. So, it was a
time out. Okay, let's just time out. Because there's so much right there that I want listeners to tune in on.
Right.
Is like and I really feel like, when God puts something in your heart and implants something in you, it doesn't just go away. Like there are ideas and dreams and passions that God puts in your heart that it's almost like you can't stop talking about it. You're going to find a way. You're going to cold call someone that might think you're stupid, or it's like when you're passionate about something, bravery and courage has to be on the other side. Like it's something that won't like leave you alone. So like, I think a lot of people are like, well, what am I passionate about? And how do I like step out in this thing? And it's like, you're sitting here sharing this story that passion, like the answers come when you take action. Like clarity comes when you take action on stuff. Right. And you have to be brave and you have to be willing to like make a bag that looks like crap and it might take a year.
Right. That's right.
Like it's fine. But like I'm going after what I'm supposed to go after. So
absolutely.
Such a huge lesson. And I didn't even realize, I mean, I'm just sitting here going like as an entrepreneur, like, thinking about passion, it's like, are you willing to be in a process of a year?
Oh, and not even really a year. Like, to take the process of my first idea to when they first got there, it was probably 3 years, because it took me it took a while to even find someone. It took a while to get the bravery to call them. I mean, the whole thing,
Like, it doesn't happen overnight.
It does not happen overnight. And I think that's how you know it's right, is when you can't stop it. There have been things in my life that it's like, it's going to happen, whether it's God just puts that desire in your heart. And I just remember feeling like this is a God thing. And I know that term is so overused.
Right.
It's a God thing,
Yeah.
But when it is, it is. Yeah. And so whether that's cliche to say or not, I felt like he gave me that idea, and he certainly put the people in my path to be able to help me, get there.
Happen. And I think
make it happen.
A huge lesson is like, I think some people are so afraid to just take a step because they want the certainty. They want, like, okay, well, what's going to happen next? They want to know. And it's like,
right.
You're not going to, like, you're going to take the step, and then God's going to open the door, and it's going to be one thing after the other. And if we can just, like, embrace that journey,
right,
stop trying to be a control freak about everything,
right,
you have a whole lot more fun, and you don't have this pressure on you, or anyway. So okay,
right. But you also have to, like, I want to make sure that we hit the points today, and I know we'll talk about it, the fear part, and the everything was not roses the whole way along the way. And I'll give you some like high points.
Bring them.
So we had the first prototype, and it was kind of like, all right, we have this back. And he's like, well, how many do you want to order? And I was like, oh, okay. So, like, okay. I mean, I had never met the guy in person.
Wow.
Okay. He was in New York.
Okay.
Never talked to the factory, because he did all that. He talked, he talked to the factories, and he was like, all right, you owe me X amount of dollars. I don't remember exactly how much it was. I feel like from the prototyping stage all the way till getting them, it was somewhere between $50,000 and $80,000. That was like what it took.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my gosh, like, were you afraid of failure? I'm like, yes, I was afraid of failure. Like, yes. Of course. Yes. And I mean, I was young and stupid and did not have that money, And look, I remember my friends and family, they told me this after the fact. They were like, we thought you had been taken. Because I wired this guy all this money. I just did, but and he was like, well, they'll be to Ruston on a truck. I think from the time you order to the time you actually get the product, it's 2 to 3 months. And so I remember as the day got closer and closer, my parents were like, she ain't getting no bags.
Oh, you have been
taken.
Oh my
God. And we did have to mortgage our house, because I didn't have that kind of money. So we got them in
house to make this dream happen.
Absolutely. And I remember me and Kelly, my husband's name is Kelly. I know you know this, but just for anyone listening, we have the same name. So it's Kelly and Kelly Clark. But people call me Kelly more because that's my maiden name. It's a long story, but not really that long of a story. But anyway, so that's the story.
We're both named Kelly. It's fine.
So, hey, just to tell you, I don't know which direction you want me to go with this, but just to tell you, even like when I launched, like, I had no concept of what it was going to take to run a business. I think you have to be a little stupid as well to do this kind of thing. Like, you just have to be a little naive. If you researched and found out how hard it is, you probably wouldn't do it.
Right.
Because, like, I remember the first person who emailed me was like, I want to return this. And I was like, return it? You can't return it. And then, like, I had already launched them. I had already, like, had the website, and I had no, like, policy on my website, returns, exchanges. I was clueless. I was so clueless, but it's okay. It's all right. Nowadays, it's a little different. You have to be a little more prepared nowadays. Yeah. But back then, that was the good old days, So anyway, so as a photographer, that's part of it. So as a photographer, the people that I sold the bags to, I had kind of a little cult following. with my photography. So back in those days, there was no Instagram, there was barely a Facebook. And so you had blogs. And so I would blog all the time with my work. And so I had all these who would come to look at my work. And so I kind of had this little, following. So I just put it out there. I was like, hey, the first batch sold out in like maybe 3 months. I was shocked. Everyone was shocked. The guy who made the bags for me, I remember him going like, who are you? Like, how did you find enough people? I think we ordered 800 bags. That might not sound like a lot, but like when you have 800 bags, you have to sell.
It's a lot.
So
800
anyway,
bags is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's kind of how it started. So which direction you want me to take from here?
Okay. So it started, you're in it. You're like, holy crap, I'm learning along the way. I'm figuring this out. Like, then what happened? Because I know that you and your husband.
Then what? Well,
that you and your husband kind of had a hard conversation at some point along this road. I definitely want you to unpack, because I know that there's women that are listening that really struggle with, and I think you'd be a liar to say, oh yeah, I got it all handled. I've got this work,
I got it all.
family life thing just nailed.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely. No one has perfect balance.
Right.
I think there are seasons. And so I know that like during all of this, at some point you had a really tough conversation. So kind of unpack that for us.
Yeah. Again, I remember almost verbatim what he said to me. I don't remember what year it was. I just remember Posey was young and we were out at the park walking, and we sat down, and I was like, what is wrong? And he gave me this little lecture. And the great part about us is I'm not a nag and he's not a nag. So when either of us approach the other about something, we take each other seriously.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, you work so hard in your photography. You give your customers and the bag company, you give everybody everything. Like, you are so in tune to their needs, and you want to produce wonderful and beautiful things for them all the time.
Right.
He said, I don't feel like you give the same to our family. Whoa. So that like rocked my world. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's right. Like, I didn't cook much back then. I didn't really clean the house. I was very much business oriented. And I think Posey was 2.5, because I remember saying, okay, I've got to change. This is not okay. And so from that day on, it wasn't a big, huge, all at once change, because you can't, like, if you have 50 weddings scheduled in a year, you can't cancel half of them because you want more time for your family. Right. But I said, okay, I'm going to back up. And I did. I started prioritizing time a little bit better, trying to pay attention. I just feel like I probably neglected Posey for the first 2 years of her life. Now, she was a really hard child. She cried most of the time. So sometimes I really was just trying to like have a little peace.
Exactly. And let's just be real about this. I mean, I think that, moms that work and that are successful, it's like, I know I'm good at this.
Right. That's right.
I'm good at shooting weddings. I'm good at running a business. I know I can win here. And
right.
then you get home with a tiny human and you're like, I don't, this is
who cries all the time.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do here. And this is like, I'm not good at this. So
that's right.
I think that's like a natural thing. And I think, mom guilt is such an issue that so many of us struggle with.
Right.
I love that your story, one, that you owned your stuff, and like, there's no like guilt or shame. It's like, okay, I'm going to baby step this thing and like take my life back and take my family back. And I know that there can be a both and here. So kind of bring us back into that. So one step at a time, you started
one step at a time,
making it work for you and prioritizing.
Yeah. And I think it's not something that I have like achieved 100% ever. You know what I mean? It's always a struggle. And let me be honest, I love to work. Like it's fulfilling. You get a lot of it's probably selfish, but when you perform, and that's kind of the business, photography and bags, it's very much kind of a performance thing. So it feels good for people to tell you what you're doing is good, you know. And sometimes the mom part, you know, is not so much gratification.
No,
yeah.
You don't get appreciated. You don't feel
right.
Exactly. And I'm so glad we're talking about this, because it's like, I don't think that women want to admit that. I think that like we want to put like this Christian like label on women and think that well, we're content.
That's right.
Like we're fine at home, and we just love everything about it. We love
That's right. And look, and I think there are some women who legitimately they thrive there. You know, I've kind of gone through phases, and I romanticized the idea of being a stay-at-home mom. And there was a point in the last 3 years to where I was like, I'm going to do it. I want to live on a farm. I want to raise my kids. I want to try homeschooling.
Yeah.
But look, that's the great part, is you have to be, you know, that part, you have to try something and you may fail. I failed. This is not
for me.
I do not want, look, I love my children. I love being around them. I do not want to be at home with them all day, every day. I don't thrive there, and they don't thrive there. So you have to find what works, you have to find what works for everybody, and everybody's not the same. Because I have some great friends who homeschool, and I admire them so much, because let me tell you, what they do is way harder than what I do. Being home with your children 24/7 is way harder. So it's just not for me. But I think I do love my job for my ones right now. I do love it because it is kind of, I can choose it's kind of stay at home. I mean, it's not really at home, but you know what I mean? It's not like I don't have to go to an office all day, every day. Yes. And I'm still with my kids a lot.
Yeah. You know, it's like, and that's what I love about entrepreneurship is like, you get to design your business. You get to design your day and your life.
Right.
Instead of the other way around, it dictating you. But sometimes we feel like when we get caught up in that performance stuff, we get caught up and we, you know, partner with workaholism or whatever, it begins to control the show.
That's right.
Dictate things.
Balance. It's so all about balance. Everything,
yes,
you know.
Season, finding what works for you. So, okay. I love that you shared that. I think that just gave so many women like so much freedom. Like, and I just want to say to all the listeners right now, it's like, listen, sis, you can have your dream and you can also have your family.
Right. That's absolutely right. You can. And
you don't have to choose.
You know, me and Kelly, my husband, were talking the other day about how he loves to listen to podcasts, and he was listening to some podcasts, and there was a statistic on there, and it was talking about parents who work a lot. However, they really love what they do. Mm-hmm. That those children thrive, even if the parent is not as present. Mm-hmm. When a child sees their parent like thriving and loving life, because the children respond better to, say, a parent who may only work till like 3 p.m. but hates what they do.
Exactly.
So I want my girls to see that it's okay for mom to work sometime. And especially this Christmas season with the bags and with, I'm photographing for a local magazine. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It's probably the busiest I've been in years, but I embraced it. And I was like, it's just for a season. Yeah. And, you know, I'll let my girls know. I was like, you know, I really like doing this, and it's not going to be forever. It's just for this season, and mama's going to get through it. Yeah. And plus, you know, don't you love to eat? And don't you love to like have a house to live in? So we have to work. Right. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yes. Gosh, that is so good. Oh my gosh. I think just like, it's the same thing, you know, with women and weight loss at a certain extent. It's like your kids are going to watch you. They're going to, when mommy is happy and and confident and feels good about herself, then everybody else flourishes. And it's the same thing, you know, with your work. And I think that our young girls need to see mommy living fully alive and being connected, you know, to her calling, and knowing that like, hey, listen, you are a part of this, honey. like this is
Right.
your legacy too. Your last name
Yeah.
is attached to this. And
That's right.
anyways, I just love that. And, it's not about workaholism. It's about the lifestyle that we get to design together as a family. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I'm a podcast junkie too. And this woman was like talking about this concept with her kids. And she said her little boy was like, Mommy, you have, like, he kept saying like, well, you have to go to work. Well, you have to work. And she just said, she like corrected him and she goes, no, honey, Mommy gets to go to work. This
Right.
allows you.
She wants to go to work.
She wants to go to work, and
right.
this allows you. And anyways, they had this cool conversation and she wound up taking them like to Disney World or something. And it was like her little boy had this realization and he was like, Mommy, I'm so glad you work so we could go here.
That's right.
Like, we've got to teach our kids like the value of that. So I just absolutely love it. Okay. So maybe share with us now, getting back to this journey, like of the bags and business. So, and like we said earlier, there's been bumps along the way. It's not all.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's the biggest lesson you have learned, or maybe you're still learning,
still learning for sure
through this process?
Right. Where do I start? Okay. So right out of the gate, let me just start with this bump in the road, because I feel like it's really important to my story. Again, It's an overused word now, but that's so right out of the gate, the first batch of bags we had, maybe about a month into it, I realized we were having an issue with them. And there was, again, because I wasn't aware, I wasn't familiar with bags and how they were constructed. I had approved something in the prototype that should have been changed. And I had some strap issues, and like it was becoming an epidemic. So it's like I had this amazingness of launching this brand. Everybody wanted them. We were sold out. We were ordering new bags, and then I was having them break. I mean, it was absolute worst
nightmare.
Nightmare. And so I remember talking to the guy who does the stuff for me, and he was like, well, a certain amount of defects is acceptable, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no. This is not a defect. It was made wrong. And I remember saying, okay, we have to replace them. He was like, excuse me? I said, we have to replace them. I'm doing a recall. First batch.
Dang.
And he was like, you just can't. And I said, if we don't, we're not even gonna, like, you can't recoup from that. You can't recover from that. Like a brand, like if your first batch of bags doesn't work. So I emailed every single person who bought that first bag, and I sent them a bag. I bought a new batch of bags. So I had to buy the batch again.
Wow.
And then I had to ship them to them. And I don't know if you're familiar with shipping costs. It's ridiculous. Yes. And it almost put me in a hole. I mean, almost right out of the gate, as much fun and as amazing as it was immediately, it was followed by, you might have to close your doors.
Right out the gate. Man,
right out of the gate.
Most people, Kelly, that's so amazing, because most people would have said, I'm done. Or they would have said, God just doesn't want me to do this anymore.
That's right. Or they would have said, tough luck, I'm not replacing those bags. And or you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, but if there are so many, what you have to realize when you own a brand, when something goes wrong, guess who eats it?
You do.
Mm-hmm. Guess who pays for it? You do. And when something messes up, even if it's not specifically your fault, because I didn't know bags, I was depending on someone else to make them to where they wouldn't break. I still was the one who had to take responsibility for that. Anyway, I think in a roundabout way, because we owned up to it and because we replaced those bags, I almost feel like it helped us. Yeah. Because I think right out of the gate, people were like, oh, okay, she took responsibility for something that was wrong. And plus, I'm sure I got a pass because I was brand new at it, So that was right out of the gate. And we've had stuff like that all along the way. Anytime you're dealing with manufacturing, and it's so many layers, people think, oh, it's probably so easy. You just order something, and then you get it and you just sell it. No, it is constant. It's layers on layers on layers of dealing with customers and dealing with wholesalers and dealing with factories. I mean, and shipping. It's just a lot,
Yes.
So yes, that, and I will say even, going to more recent, that was, a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we've dealt with things similar to that along the way. Just you deal with, sometimes bags are made wrong.
Like,
that's right.
This, on one of my previous episodes that I talked about, it's like when you are passionate about something and you want your life to be, you're creating this dream, this design, this bag, fill in the blank,
right.
you're reading a book,
right.
whatever the thing is
right.
you are birthing.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much talent you have. It doesn't matter how it's like that had nothing to do with you being talented as a photographer, or maybe somewhat, but or as a bag designer. You had to have persistence in order to make that happen. You had to keep showing up. You had to say, okay, I'm going to email every single person. I'm going to take total ownership of this. Passion becomes a reality when you develop massive persistence in whatever you're doing. That I'm not going to quit. I'm going to take massive ownership. I'm going to figure this thing out. I'm going to email every person. I'm going to order a new batch. We are going to problem solve here.
Right.
And not just quit. And I think knowing you and knowing your story. And I think, for so many people that are listening, when you're passionate, this is how you know when you're truly passionate about something. You find the perseverance and the persistence to make it work.
Right.
You just dig deep. You just make it happen. You just figure it out. So, okay. So what are some more recent struggles that you've had to overcome?
Well, we had some really good years in there. We were still the first in the market to do this. And of course, anytime you come out with something different or groundbreaking or new and people see your success, they want a piece of it. Yeah. So we had a lot. That's right. We had so many brands launch after us, pretty decent ones. Most of them, I would say, are not around. There are still a few that are around, but so we had a lot of people, kind of steal our ideas. And that was so, oh man, it was just heartbreaking.
Yeah. How did you get through that?
I will say my personality, and as a photographer, I was this way as well. Mm-hmm. When I have someone chasing me, it makes me work harder. Right. And so in an odd way, I feel like it might have even kept us going and kept me going and pushing harder, because if nobody's chasing me and I'm the only game in town, I think I can get a little lax. But if someone's behind me, I want to push myself really hard. So I think it almost was a good thing for me. But I just it used to wreck my day, wreck my week if I saw a new brand or whatever. It hurt. But I don't know. I think I became a little numb to it. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. But you just kind of we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We're just going to try to be better, try to be a better company,
There are no copycats. It's you can try to copy someone.
Right.
The original is still the original. It's okay, but they may be making a camera bag, but they don't make them like me.
Right. Well, and the funny thing is, I was on Pinterest yesterday, and I wasn't even looking at camera bags. I was looking at something, and this bag came up, and I thought it was one of mine, and I realized it was a complete knockoff. Look, there are so many handbags out there. You're going to see some of the same stuff. But, when you think it is yours because it looks exactly like, I'm like, come on, at least change it up a little bit. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Literally straight up.
Yeah. But going back to some of our more recent struggles, 2017 was really, really hard.
It was really hard for a lot of people. Wasn't there a whole hashtag about that?
Yes. And misery loves company. Yeah. It's almost like you're kind of glad that other people were struggling as well. So it wasn't, you're like, okay, maybe it wasn't just because I sucked. maybe something was, in the water. I don't know. Maybe the moon was at a certain spot. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what happened, there are a lot of things internally with some of my employees, and we had to let some people go, and it was hard. And also it's like I think 2017, it was this turning point for me, because I had ridden the wave of being new and innovative, like this product.
Mm-hmm.
And by 2017, everybody knew about it. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it wasn't new anymore. Now we had to say, okay.
You had to read.
I had to read, and I really, honestly, I had to ask myself, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time saying, do I really want to still do this? And there were some days where I was not sure that I did.
Yeah.
But again, when I go back and I trace the steps, even in the past 2 years, the people that God has put in my life that have allowed this company to continue to innovate and thrive and kind of rethink who we are as a brand, God's put them in my life. And like, I don't know where to go to find those people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so I spent a lot of 2017 balled up in the fetal position, quite honestly. I mean, if we can just be real,
Yes.
I think women and men, like, you need to hear that other people, that they just struggle.
Yeah.
Yes, it was so bad. I'm not really.
Nobody has it going.
No, they don't. And if they say they do, then don't listen to them. You're lying. So it was just a bad year. I'm not really a sad person. I mean, for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty even keel. Maybe I'm deceiving myself. I was just very stressed and very sad a lot of 2017. I was almost in the state of mourning because I felt like maybe we were coming to an end. And I had to come to a place. I have so much of my identity wrapped up in Kelly Moore Bag. I had to, here we go. It's a whole, I had to come to a place to where I was like, okay, God, I mean, I have to do this like at least once a day. Like, this is yours. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. If you want it to keep going, just keep opening those doors, or keep providing, or just show me what you want me to do. And, I cried a lot. I'm not a crier. I'm not very emotional. I feel like I'm more of the man in our husband and wife relationship as far as like sensitivity.
Right.
I'm not very sensitive,
You're
but I cried. I don't know what I am. I need to take the test. I don't know what I am.
It's like Enneagram faux pas to label people, but all the things you've been saying, it sounds like a 3. But
it's a 3. Okay. If you could take the test for me, is that a characteristic of a 3? Yes. Is that you would rather someone else? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm a delegator. Anyway, where was I?
Performance.
And my identity, I realized so much pride, it was in Kelly Moore Bag. And I mourned the thought of, but I came to a place where I was like, okay, if I need to shut it down, because even like sales weren't as good in 2017. And then our overhead was just crazy because of lots of really random things that happened. It was just, and I was like, okay, God, I'm at a place where I can shut it down. Like, yes, it would hurt. Yes, my pride would be hurt. However, I am a human being outside of bags. I have a personality outside of bags, and I'm willing to move forward without the bags. And it just wouldn't shut down. Yeah. Like right when I was ready to pull the plug, something would happen. Okay. And there was a lifeline.
Here is a huge lesson. That is such a huge lesson, because it was on the other side of your surrender and saying,
that's right.
Okay, I'm a child of God, and that's not contingent upon owning a company. My identity is not what I do. I am not what I do. I am not what I do. I want every woman under the sound of my voice right now to hear that. You are not what you do or how well you do it. And when we get our hands off of it. And I think what you may have been mourning too, Kelly, was the loss of your identity. You know,
yes,
who am
yes.
who am I if I'm not Kelly Moore Bag? And
That's
then
right.
once you're like, okay, I'm good with that, then God's like, all right.
Right. And now listen, again, it's not something that is like always cured. I still have days.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a constant having to remind myself that I can still be Kelly Moore Clark outside of the bags. You know what I mean? And I still on a daily basis have to say, okay, God, I can't do this. I need, this is your company. I know if I, I always have to, wherever I am, I have to trace my footsteps back to where it began to remember like how it got here, to remind myself it wasn't something I just conjured up and tried. Right. Like it was supposed to be here.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so 2017 was not good. And 2018, we saw the ship start to turn around. God brought some people in my life within the company who really helped me like question who we were as a company, what our goals were, helped me just see a lot of the holes. Because I was at a point where I was like, I got nothing left. Like my ideas, I've used all my ideas and they're not working. And so I think being able to, and this will, I think, speak to you because you're very big into having mentors. This person isn't necessarily like a mentor. She's she works with me. However, God used her
to speak
kind of as a mentor to speak into my life, and also to be able to just help me talk it through, like hours and hours and hours on the telephone, just trying to figure out where we are and where we want to go.
We're not meant to do this alone, and I think we're so glad you brought that up. And I think this will be maybe our last thing before we wrap up is like, we're not an island. And there is sometimes I feel like in the world of women entrepreneurs, you feel isolated a lot.
Right.
Like nobody really gets what you do or what you're going through, especially down here in the Bible Belt, I feel like.
Right.
Where, women working and women owning businesses is kind of like, we're not with where the rest of the world is yet. You feel isolated or you feel like no one understands, and it can be, you feel weird about being vulnerable with people. And I think it is crucial to always have mentors, to always be asking for help, because we have blind spots, we have weaknesses. And every company, it's not a one-man ship, running the thing. You have to have help. So I love that.
Right.
Love that. We have to reach out and be vulnerable.
So to kind of wrap up how we are ending 2018.
Yeah. Tell us
what I said, we saw the ship turn around, and this is just to speak to never like change. Like you always have to be moving and evolving and changing.
Yes.
And I think that's where so much of the pain of 2017 came, is that I was just stagnant.
Yeah.
And so this year, we evaluated everything, like where we were making our bags, what bags we were making, the price point of the bags we were making. Like, heck, we even tried a little line of like home goods and stuff. It didn't break the internet. I mean, it's been okay. I don't think I'll continue with it.
Yeah.
But like, again, not being afraid. Like I had that question in my mind. What do our customers want? Yeah. And like, do they want these things? But it's been so great because we have some new factories. We're working with better materials. And these new factories, I have been able, like, I don't necessarily have a middleman. It's me,
right?
Like Skyping with the guys at the factory. And it's just been a great process. I feel like I've kind of had a renewed
your
passion
back. You reinvented yourself and got your passion back.
Yeah. And even, those times, like even in 2018, there were times where I'm like, I always ask, is this what I want to be doing? And as I follow those steps and the final answer is yes, it is hard. It's a lot. Sometimes it's stressful, but I really enjoy what I'm making right now. Yeah. And it would be sad for me to not have the name Kelly Moore Bag. Like it would be sad not to make these products, like I'm really proud of what we're making right now. And so it gives me energy to go forward and try new things. Like people, our customers, we've tried new things and they've responded to them. So that really opens the door to lots of other new things. So anyway, yeah, that's where we are right now.
Man, we have gotten so many golden nuggets in this podcast.
Oh, good.
Persistence, bravery, work, family balance,
right? Failure.
Like we have just like covered the gamut of like what you go through to follow your dreams. Okay, so let's end it on kind of a lighter note. Okay, so tell me right now and tell the listeners, what is your favorite bag right now? So if they were to go buy a bag and they went, well, what's Kelly's favorite? What is your favorite bag right now that you guys have?
That is kind of like asking my favorite child. You know that, right?
Okay.
Like,
well,
no, it's okay.
Which one are you the most into right now?
Today. Usually, honestly, the answer is one that you don't even know about because I'm always carrying prototypes. I would say we launched a clutch maybe a month and a half ago. It's a small leather goods, and it's new for us because we've always just done like bigger bags because they have to carry cameras. And so I wanted to try out just having a bag that was just a bag. It still has organization to it, so I still feel like it stays within our niche. But right now I think that might be my favorite one. It's called the carry-all clutch. It's just a little leather bag. Perfect. Yeah. And I mean, I have lots of favorites, but I think I'm just excited about that one because it's little and we've never had little bags before.
Okay. So we're going to link that in the show notes. And everybody, my favorite bag is the bum bag. That's what it's called, the fanny pack.
Yeah. Bum bag.
The black and tan leather fanny packs, the belt bags are my favorite. I love them so much. So I'm going to link those two. So Kelly,
speaking of, I really want to photograph you wearing it.
Okay, perfect.
I really need to it looks very good on you. I need to get pictures of you in it.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah.
So, okay, Kelly, thank you so much for being on the Passionista podcast. This has
been